Hi, my name is Kelly Welsh, and this is my presentation for EDU 330, Promoting Diversity and Equity in Education. I have reflected on this project and chosen images that most closely reflect my cultural experience and the cultural experiences that have influenced my family and me as a person. This first image to me represents a big influence on my culture, which is the fact that all of my grandparents pictured here are immigrants. This definitely promoted certain values in our family, especially values like perseverance and hard work, as they really fought to establish themselves in a new country and create a new life for their family. I believe that these values really trickled down to my parents, who are two of the most hardworking people that I know. They instilled this value in all of us kids from a very young age, and to this day, I would say that the people in my family are the hardest working people that I personally know. Another big aspect of my family culture is that we are a big blended family. This influenced our family dynamic in a lot of different ways, making holidays a little bit different, weekends, just day-to-day activities different as we navigated different sibling groups, homes, and schedules. Another big influence on my family is the fact that even though we didn't come from a family that had a lot of access to education, it's something that's very important, especially for me and my two sisters who are pictured in this photograph. We are all becoming educators. We're all in school for elementary education, and so it's a big value in my family now. This picture goes to show, for me, the fact that the Christian values of love and compassion actually bring diversity and equity. These values are necessary so that we can actually come together, join hands, and create that diverse society that we are looking for. This image for me represents how the Christian value of respect actually leads to diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can see here on the scale how it shows that respect and justice are actually equal to each other, and that we need one to get the other. We need respect in order to have that diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is another picture of my grandparents who were immigrants. I believe that this really affected my cultural experience, and it will be able to be something that I'll share with my students. I know that a lot of them may come from family backgrounds of families who come from other countries and who are still trying to establish themselves here. I believe that I'll also really be able to relate to my students who come from a diverse background of families, such as blended families, as I do have that experience in my own family, as I talked about before. I'll be able to relate to them on that level, as well as if they come from different family backgrounds. This is the first image that really explained equality versus equity to me. You can see here that in the picture, equality is where everyone gets the same thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone can see the playing field. However, when there's equity and everyone gets what they need but not the same, everyone's able to see the playing field the same way. Students may ask me a lot of times in my career why some students get extra or get more. The way that I usually explain this to them is the fact that not everyone gets the same thing. Everyone gets what they need. Sometimes I'll even use the picture from the previous slide to illustrate that. A way that I experienced this in my own life, you can see me here with my little brother. Oftentimes growing up, he needed a lot more attention for certain reasons than I did. And when I was younger, this made me feel sometimes neglected or ignored. But now that I'm older, I could just see it as a blessing that I didn't need as much support as he did. This is a picture of some of the students that I work with now, and it just reminds me of how I need to be sensitive to all of their needs. They all need very different things from me. And so when I am sensitive and tuned into what they need, it's when I could provide the best experience for them and actually get them what they need in order to succeed. Some of the biggest influences on our country as to not promoting equity and inclusion have been things like segregation, the Jim Crow laws, and most recently redlining, which still impacts our culture today, how cities are set up, and some are even still segregated. For example, I work in the city of Chicago, which I love and is very near and dear to my heart, but you can still see a lot of the impact of segregation and redlining here. Many of our communities, and therefore our schools, are still segregated into different ethnicities, which also impact the quality of education that each student receives. I do believe that God created all culture, and I want to see the beauty in it, learn about it, and respect it. I know that this will be a lifelong journey and something that I want to be open to with all of my students, regardless of what their background is, and regardless of what I need to do in order to learn about them and get to that point. I plan on doing this partially through culturally responsive teaching. This means that the students are able to see themselves and their own backgrounds reflected in the teaching. You can see in this image that each student has like their different roots, and that all of that is being reflected in the classroom. One thing that has really influenced me in this area is the fact, like I spoke about before, that although our family maybe had a lot of access to education growing up, it is something that's been very important to us, and my little sister actually just graduated valedictorian, and that meant a lot to me. I know that I have had to change my perspective based on the different background of students that I was working with. This is a photograph of when I worked with students in Mexico, and I had to change a lot of the ways that I taught, worked with the students, and even learn a whole new language in order to be able to best communicate with them. My personal goals in this area are to educate myself through books, media, and other personal education, and a lot of personal reflection based on what I do, that education, and how I can implement it into my classroom. I am committed to a lifetime of learning, of promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion with my students, and being the best educator that I can possibly be, and providing that experience to them. I plan on learning about this for the rest of my life, not just in this class, and promoting those values for as long as I am an educator and beyond.